Bugatti, a brand synonymous with luxury, speed, and exclusivity. With its sleek designs, cutting-edge technology, and eye-watering price tags, you expect nothing short than jaw-dropping performance. Coupled with the founder's relentless need to chase the upper echelon of the automobile industry, would set the stage to demand the attention of ambitious business magnates who can afford a piece of art on wheels. With their base model checking in at $1.8 million and their most exclusive exceeding $40 million, owning a Bugatti is a symbol of your ability to burn money. For starters, the sale of a Bugatti is handled more like a business deal than a car purchase, and to close the deal, you'll need to know what the profile of the typical qualified buyer looks like. But you'll also need to know how this iconic brand was brought back to life, not once, but twice. So buckle up, because we are at the starting line of the incredible story of Bugatti. Thanks to Chattervise for sponsoring this video. Buying a Bugatti is unlike any other transaction. Obviously, you need to have money, but the sales process itself is designed to filter out certain buyers. They're looking for brand ambassadors and people of status that will represent the brand's rich and prestigious heritage. The ideal candidate indulges in nothing but the most luxurious experiences available, because according to the former president of Bugatti, the average qualified buyer owns 84 cars, 3 private jets, and a yacht. These business magnates are only limited by their imagination and exclusive experiences. Gaining access to invite-only events is a start. These events allow the magnate the opportunity to mingle with Bugatti executives and engineers, leave a good impression, and to really become familiar with the racing heritage. The experience further adds to the mystique and fosters an environment where the buyer is jumping at the opportunity to successfully place their order. Failing to do so at these events drastically lowered the buyer's chances of acquiring these limited quantity vehicles without some serious connections. For instance, back when the Chiron was first unveiled, the invite-only events accounted for nearly 80% of the sales. Getting an order accepted is often accompanied with an invitation to visit the home of Bugatti at Molsheim, as well as to private concerts and grand tours around the world's most glamorous locations. Not having the money readily available is simply unacceptable. Bugatti wants to make sure that owners are car connoisseurs who promise to do the little things right, such as paying astronomical prices for routine maintenance costs. I mean, imagine paying $42,000 for new tires, $20,000 to $25,000 for an oil change, $47,000 for new brakes and rotors is not something your average millionaire can afford to do over and over again for a fleet of exotic vehicles. Notable owners such as Cristiano Ronaldo, Drake, Ralph Lauren, Jay Leno, Tom Brady, Jay-Z, Simon Cowell, and even What Color Is Your Bugatti Andrew Tate, to name a few, can probably bypass an event off of fame alone. But setting aside celebrities and influencers, the typical story of an ideal candidate can be summed up by the family success story of one Meyer Zri. Back in 2018, he became the first Bugatti Chiron owner in Texas, and he didn't even buy it for himself. It was a gift to his father. But it took more than wealth to make this happen. He says the process was almost like adopting a child. In order for the now 37-year-old to have a chance at getting his hands on one of these, he had to network with Bugatti executives and even the board members of Volkswagen, the present-day parent company of Bugatti. Part of the deal was that he had to agree to buy a second Bugatti and share his family's inspirational generational success story. The story goes, in 1860, his ancestors arrived in South Africa from India. They were indentured servants, which is a form of debt bondage, which means there was an agreed-upon time of unpaid labor to pay off the cost of immigration. They were housed, fed, and clothed, just enough to stay alive. And though the situation required deep sacrifice, it was better than the conditions they were running away from. Zri's father would tell him when he was younger, "Your forefathers, they just jumped to the ship. They never knew where they were going. You guys are fortunate. You'll be doing a great service to future generations." The Bugatti brand is sought after by the world's most successful families and people from all walks of life. And in order for us to appreciate its history, we must go back to where it all began. Ettore Bugatti was born into a family of artists. His grandfather Giovanni was a famous architect and sculptor, and his father Carlo Bugatti was an internationally renowned furniture and jewelry designer. He was also related to Giovanni Segantini, a famous impressionist. So the love of art and design ran deep, which is why Ettore and his younger brother Rembrandt followed the family tradition. Rembrandt turned his love for animals into amazing sculptures of Egyptian wolves and dancing elephants. However, Ettore realized that his talents were better suited for another design form, and this is where he forged his own career path. During his teen years, Ettore discovered that his true passion was not art, but the intricate field of mechanics. So at just 17 years of age, he joined the bicycle and tricycle manufacturing firm, Printi and Stucchi, as an apprentice, and it was here that he developed his first motorized vehicle, a tricycle with 2 motors that he called Type 1. He entered his vehicle into the 1899 Paris Boho Doux race and finished 3rd. But Ettore's journey of innovation was just starting. At the time, automobiles were far from a common mode of transportation, and people still wondered whether a personal motor vehicle was the future. In fact, it was mostly reserved for the bourgeoisie to enjoy the newest sport, motor racing. However, even as a teenager, Ettore was well ahead of his time. He continued to pursue his passion and started to make a name for himself with his creative ideas. Young Ettore caught the attention of Count Giulianelli from Ferrara, Italy, who funded his next prototype, the Type 2. This was the vehicle that established Ettore's reputation as an innovator in the automobile industry. With a 3.1-liter engine, the Type 2 could travel at a speed of 37 miles per hour. This car was displayed at the Milan Trade Exhibition in 1901, where it placed first. That same year, 20-year-old Ettore was recruited by the German manufacturer De Dietrich, who offered him a job in the Alsace region. Ettore was still so young that his father Karl had to sign the contract, but his young age was never an obstacle for Ettore, and he was put in charge of production within 1 year of starting his new job. As he refined his craft, Ettore Bugatti's appetite for innovation soared as well. In 1903, he built a car for the Paris-Madrid race that challenged established norms. Ettore decided to place the driver closer to the base of the car for an improved center of gravity and better aerodynamics. However, the car wasn't allowed to race at the event as the organizers rejected Ettore's revolutionary design. They believed that higher seating was the only correct design for a racing vehicle, but Ettore was simply ahead of his time. About 4 years later, Ettore joined Dutz AG of Cologne as head of production. He was now dreaming of becoming a car manufacturer in his own right. So he moved into a villa near the Dutz factory and started working on his own project. He was developing a new car, and once again, he went against convention and took his own path. At the time, it was commonplace for vehicles to have engines with large displacements. This made them very heavy and compromised speed. So Ettore conceptualized the Type 10 to be light, powerful, and agile. By 1909, he had completed the first prototype with a 1.2-liter 4-cylinder engine and weighing just 804 pounds. The Type 10 could hit a top speed of 49 miles per hour. Fueled by the success of Type 10, Ettore decided to pursue his dream full-time. He ended his contract with Dutz, took his severance pay, and moved back to Alsace. He bought a factory in Molsheim, which became the first headquarters for his company, Automobiles e Bugatti. At his new company, Ettore started working on his next car, the Bugatti T13. Completed in 1911, this was the first Bugatti car to find widespread success, but that success was cut short when World War I commenced. World War I forced Ettore to shut down his business and move his family back to Italy and then to France. He landed a job working for the Duesenberg brothers, and between 1915 to 1916, he designed the U-16 airplane engine. While it never really took off, the design was bought by the US in a licensing deal for $100,000. Though the U-16 never saw combat, building it was a stepping stone for him to make other advances down the road. Ittori patented close to 1,000 inventions during his lifetime, many of which are still in use to this day. These include the aluminum rim, hexagonal bolts and nuts, and many products not related to the automotive industry at all. Some of his other patents include surgical instruments, five-toed shoes, and security locks. Ittori also collaborated with other automobile manufacturers from time to time, and famously produced the Babe in collaboration with Peugeot. It became one of the best-selling cars of its time. But sadly, in January 1916, tragedy struck Ittori. His younger brother, a famous sculptor, Rembrandt Bugatti, committed suicide. Shortly after the war ended, Ittori, hungrier than ever, would go on a tear that would bring about Bugatti's golden era. And the truth is, you probably know this feeling in your gut that your business will make it through. The long days, the lonely nights, it's not for nothing. Entrepreneurship is the ultimate sport, but this is a sport that you don't need to go at it alone. You work too hard to make sure every client is happy, to let the sale end there. That's where Chatavise comes in. Chatavise helps give your small business the tools you need to more effectively encourage your customers to leave a review about their experience with you. If you're asking for reviews the old-fashioned way, you probably know how ineffective that is. People get distracted the minute they leave your store or the second you leave their house. Over 67% of people say they would prefer to text with the business versus receive a call or an email. 97% of text messages get opened, of which 85% get read in the first 5 minutes, making this the most effective way to reach your customers. Chatavise provides a frictionless way for your customers to give you the review you deserve. You know you have happy customers, they just aren't telling the world about it. Make it easy for them to help you attract more customers by putting their reviews on Google Maps, Facebook, and any other place you would like. The beautiful thing about using the system is that it will tie the review left by the customer and to the employee that helped them automatically, giving you the ability to run fun competitions by using the leaderboard and reward feature to track your best performers. No one likes to be last, so use Chatavise to make it fun, to get the most out of every interaction. There are tons of other powerful tools Chatavise offers, such as tracking, referral marketing, promotional texting, as well as automation solutions that save you time and makes you money. They have the flexibility to work with a one-person company all the way up to a company operating in all 50 states. If you want to know more about how Chatavise can serve you, book your free video demo call today with the link below. Thanks to Chatavise for sponsoring this video. The 1920s were undisputedly the golden age for the Bugatti company, with Ittori back in Mulsanne. A massively improved Type 13 heralded a period of glory for Bugatti on the racetrack. In 1921, Type 13 broke the 150 km/h barrier and started a revolution. These speeds were only deemed possible for cars with considerably heavier engines. However, during the Grand Prix Brescia, 4 Type 13 cars finished in the top 4 places, making Bugatti synonymous with speed and triumph. The Type 13 won another 400 races over the next 5 years and sold over 2,000 units. The next breakthrough car for Bugatti went into production in 1925. Type 35 dominated all cars across Europe. It won the first ever Monaco Grand Prix and 2,000 other races in the late 20s and early 30s. To this day, Type 35 remains the most successful race car of all time. Ittori wasn't stopping just yet and started working on the most luxurious vehicle of all time. He famously said, "Nothing is too beautiful, nothing is too expensive." And his next vehicle typified that belief. First produced in 1926, the Type 41 Royale cut an imposing figure. With a length of over 6 meters, a displacement of 14.7 liters, capable of producing 300 horsepower and achieving a top speed of 99.4 miles per hour, while being the largest Bugatti vehicle ever produced. The Royale also featured a hood ornament, the Dancing Elephant, designed by Rembrandt Bugatti. With a mix of power and luxury, the Royale was around 3 times as expensive as similar limousines and 10 times over the price of any other Bugatti vehicle. With the launch of the Royale, Ettore also firmly established the exclusivity of Bugatti by declaring that only bona fide crowned heads can apply to get one of the 25 planned vehicles. But unfortunately, its launch was followed by the onset of the Great Depression. Only 6 vehicles were ever produced. Kings of Spain and Romania were overthrown before taking delivery, and Ettore refused to sell to the King of Albania because of his bad table manners. Just 3 units of Type 41 Royale were ever sold, and in 1987, one of them went for £5.5 million at auction, making it the most expensive car ever sold at the time. At the start of the 1930 decade, everything was going right for Ettore and Bugatti. Even his son Jean had become an integral part of the company, something most fathers would be extremely proud of. As a talented engineer, he took an active part in manufacturing Bugatti's next racing model, the Type 57. The model was another instant hit, and Jean Bugatti started working on more variants. However, by 1936, signs of trouble in the Bugatti empire started to appear. The production in the Molsheim factory came to a halt after workers went on strike. Following weeks of deadlock, Ettore finally caved into the demands, but the relationship never recovered. There was a significant decrease in output, and Bugatti was hemorrhaging money. Ettore decided to move back to Paris to launch another factory, leaving his son Jean in charge of the Molsheim plant. But before any sort of recovery, Europe was grappling with the Second World War. Bugatti moved its manufacturing to Bordeaux as Alsace once again fell to the Germans. While all of this was going on, Bugatti still managed to maintain its supremacy on the racetrack. The Type 57 won the Le Mans race in 1937, and then again in 1939. Jean Bugatti, who was now effectively running the company, took the victorious car for a test run in August 1939, something he had done many times before, but this time was different. He lost control of the vehicle when a drunken cyclist appeared out of nowhere. Trying to avoid the drunk, he swerved off the road and crashed into a tree, and Jean's life came to an abrupt end at the young age of just 30. Not long after, the war caused significant damage to the production plant in Molsheim, and the factory was soon seized by the Nazis. Uncertain of the future, Ettore sold the property for less than half of its actual value. A crestfallen Ettore tried to revive the business in Paris, but couldn't secure enough funds during the raging war. After the end of World War II, France got back control of Alsace, and the government decided to compensate those who lost their businesses. Ettore, hopeful of being able to build back his business, was denied since he wasn't a French citizen. So in 1946, he applied and became a French citizen, then filed a lawsuit against the French government in hopes to get the money he needed to rebuild. However, time wasn't on his side. After suffering from a serious lung disease and a stroke, Ettore was afflicted with paralysis that would take away his senses. He ultimately won the case against the government in June 1947, but wasn't aware of the decision. Just a couple of months later, on August 21, 1947, Ettore Bugatti died after a bout with pneumonia. The Bugatti estate was left to the youngest son, Roland, but he couldn't revive the car company that was on the verge of bankruptcy. For nearly 2 decades, Bugatti was dominating Europe, but sadly, operations ceased in 1952, and all associated businesses were sold during the 60s. But the Bugatti name was still alive in the memories of motor enthusiasts. And it's these enthusiasts that might have the right plan and execution skills needed to revive the brand. 40 years after the death of Vittori, another engineer from Italy, Romano Artioli, decided to revive the brand that had fascinated him as a child. He introduced his first vehicle, the EB110, on the 110th birthday of Vittorio Bugatti in 1991. Only 150 were made, and this speedster received a lot of fanfare. It could reach top speeds of 218 miles per hour with its V12 quad turbocharged engine. However, Romano accumulated a lot of debt and filed for bankruptcy in 1995, but the legend of Bugatti refused to disappear. The company was bought by Volkswagen, and in 1998, Bugatti returned to Molsheim, where it once again produced the most unbelievable hyper sports cars for an exclusive club of buyers. Over the last few decades, Bugatti has done a remarkable job in launching special editions around important or meaningful figures in Bugatti's history, such as the Bugatti Rembrandt, which was meant to celebrate the life of Vittori's brother, who died via suicide back in 1916. This preservation of legacy and recognition of important figures in the brand's history, followed up by breaking speed barriers, once again put Bugatti firmly in the #1 spot as the most sought-after exotic brand go-getters can buy. If you made it this far, you certainly liked our video, so don't forget to subscribe and enjoy this next video that I handpicked for you. The preview is playing below the thumbnail. I'll see you over there. Until then, stay free and go achieve. Cash App went head-to-head with the big guns, surpassed established players like Venmo, and fended off competition from tech giants such as Amazon. But few know the dark secret Cash App is hiding, which underpins how they make billions of dollars worth of profit. Their secret facilitates scams, which cause their users to lose hundreds of thousands of dollars. Their strategy of sponsoring rappers to get in with the culture was a stroke of marketing genius, and it built a cult-like following. Emboldened to take advantage of a once-in-a-lifetime situation, they used the pandemic to pull in even more people onto their social network-like platform. Half tech, half bank, this is how Cash App built an empire on the backs of the unbanked, right here in the US. This is the story of the rise of Cash App. Thanks to Chattervise for sponsoring this video.